Since it's a debate, let me give you the chance to respond. I've summarized the points he makes. What's your response?
Yeah, thank you for that. But that's quite interesting. I mean, to even bring in, I could see Kabiru panting through to explain all of this and raking in. I don't know what he started an LLB program. I don't know what criminal law had to do with what we're discussing in terms of correlations and causality. But to look at all of this, when you say IPPs were owed 2.5 billion and government needed to probably pay off these things, I think Dr. Bawumia and Kabiru are arguing on the length and breadth of the fact that the IPPs are meant to be made a bullet payment of 2.1 billion, which he knows and understands that never happens in any economy. You spread it over a long period of time, which could spread into 2-3 years even of payment with agreement with. So if we have this thinking within the focus of this debate, that is very faulty to start with. Now, I heard Bob.
So you are tackling the IPP first, that the payment is not supposed to be immediate.
It's not a bullet
payment.
payment.
That you owe 2 billion.
2 billion does not mean that 2 billion bullet payment should be made off to IPPs.
So that's your first one?
Yeah, that's my first one. Because if we want to contextualize that, that's a very faulty debate that has no basis to start with. He understands how government engages these and disperses these payments and the agreements. Management. They may even have to renegotiate contracts at some point whatsoever. Right. So to look at that figure in isolation, to say this within a photographic year, which is just 2025, we read a budget. Again, when they talk about not spending, Bernard and the good listeners, the big ticket items for any government that has inherited this particular government to do was to cater for the domestic debt exchange program, to make commitment to it. By making commitment to it, you are spending. If anyone says you're not spending, I don't know where this economics is coming from. We have an IMF program. You went on a spending spree on the bond market. All of this, the government has made strong commitments to and activated the sinking fund you dissipated, yet you say they are not commitment. I'm wondering what single policy it is that Dr. Kabiru and Dr. Bawumia understands, and one for a magic one to say that this is what the NDC government did as far as the stabilization of the Cedi is concerned. In any case, you look at all of this, what are the key variables to stabilizing the currency? They talk about the gold for oil program as though it was a novelty coming from them. In the wake, or in the run-up to, or post-COVID, when central banks in developing countries were trying to stabilize their reserves and get liquidity, that was the program they resorted to, having reserve-backed currencies, using gold. And if you went into this to say that you want to turn and pat yourselves at the back by saying that this is what you did, I think that, again, did not, because your central bank posted losses in a period where a bank uses the functionality of an instrument of moral suasion to determine that, and you had a governor saying that it amounted to nothing. Those were the whistles and bells of the economy. So these were the issues we had prior to. So we had a government that have inherited. We speak also as if we're speaking in a vacuum. We inherited an IMF program. The program has not even expired. There's no financial headroom to even do anything. So when you keep saying the government is not spending, when there is paper spending, when you go to, or a finance minister or head of the treasury goes to parliament to present a budget, the spending starts from there once the budget is approved. So when you and your boss say we are not spending, I don't know where that is actually coming from. The commitments that have been made, the appropriations that have been made, the disbursements that are yet to go is not spending. Come on, guys, what are we talking about? In any case, when your boss said he had locked the depreciation of the Cedi and given the keys to the IGP, why? What happened? When the economy was dissipated, you went to the IMF with your tails in between your legs. When you said you would never go and have an IMF program. You put us in this situation. Let's compare inflation rates at the time. And even at the time you started gold for oil program. And now. So if 2.6 billion was accumulated by a gold program through the gold board, you expect that to be used as a bullet payment to pay government debtors. Come on, Kabiru. Which government functions within that confines? So I think that it's about time we really unpack these real issues to have. Today, Dr. Bawumia has the convenience. I'm surprised he's not going to Cote d'Ivoire. He's quoting the Kwacha, who tells you that he gleans petrols around and then fix or pick low-hanging fruits. We have neighboring Nigeria. How is the Naira doing? That's our next door neighbor, where we have Lagos, bigger than the economy of Accra. Why won't he go to Nigeria and make a comparison? He's traveling all the way to Zambia to make a comparison. When it was not suiting, it was La Cote d'Ivoire. You can't go to La Cote d'Ivoire today because you think it won't favor the debate. So let's talk contextually. So with all of this happening, you found prudent spending. You found a precedent. And Bernard, there's something fundamental that has happened that we need to applaud this government. Quite often than not, the government treasury, which is a finance ministry, the central bank, and the executive arm of government, headed by the president, are always at loggerheads when it comes to stabilizing currency, right? Or having spending. This time around, three are all singing. Independent are singing from the same hymn book. Who tells you there's a coordinated effort? What single policy do you want again? You have a president, a central bank governor, and the head of treasury, which is the finance minister, singing from the same hymn book in terms of tightening budget. In any case, any prudent government, that is what is sought, which comes into office. The first budget, this is just a year's budget, fixed for a particular period of time, which is why I keep using the word photographic. So if you want to look at it and look at it as though it's a 4-year budget or an 8-year budget, you miss the debate. But look at the performance of it. Have you ever had this stability? It's changing by the minute basis. And look, your goal for oil program was parodic, right? It was emulated from what was happening in certain developing economies. This is a program, the Gold Board program, backed by legislation. So investors see more confidence in it because it is backed by legislation. It has a board, among other issues. So if all of this are happening, yet you are asking that what has been done, when has a single policy been an answer to an economic problem? That is faulty, again, to start with, to start calling for a single policy that a government has done. It's very faulty. So they're trying to mix the debate. But for me, what I keep saying is that we are even not celebrating this. You're organizing press conferences left, right, center, talking about it. We have a 4-year mandate to deliver on the economy. These are just protein signs of it. That we are casually mentioning and saying that, okay, whatever we are doing is yielding some fruits. We're not celebrating it. There's no Kenke party at the precincts of the Treasury or Finance Ministry.